Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
And to the department. And that's what I really, really enjoyed about it. I wouldn't have changed it for the world. My son Michael, who's 24, he just went through our police motorcycle training course, and he's a police officer. My other son Christopher, he wants to become a law enforcement officer. The only one that really doesn't want anything to do with public service right now is my daughter Katie. She'll be 13 years old. She wants to be a vet.
Oh,
So that's
hey,
good. That's
you
good. She
know,
can take care of mom and dad when
and
when
some
she
of
gets there.
those animals that you guys use too. You know,
Exactly.
you never know. There might be a tie there.
Exactly. Vets are very, very high demand in the military and overseas.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we found out. She just loves animals. So when you talk about your kids and how proud you are, I can't be more proud. Like, that they're just the world to me. That my wife.
Yeah,
So,
you know, and the word says that your children are a gift. They're a gift from God, and gifts are to be cherished and then shared with the world.
Exactly.
Shared with the world.
Exactly.
So what made you want to run for office number 1 and then run for this office number 2?
Well, you know.
And I hope the light's not glaring. It just helps to, okay.
You know, you work through your career, always wanted to be advancing. As far as I was concerned, when I first started law enforcement, I was happy with a police officer position. Let me just get through 20 years. And then you get the taste of that supervision as a sergeant. And you say, you know, hey, I can really make things different here. Then you get to lieutenant. Well, when Chief Chipwood came in, I got promoted to deputy chief. And I got to see a whole new arena of police work, the administration side, and how much you can actually change. Well, after I received my master's degree in criminal justice, I decided, you know, I want to take that next step, and I really want to lead an organization. I applied for the Ormond Beach Police Chief's job. I made it to the top 2. I think the deciding factor there was the relocation. I really couldn't see moving my little girl and my family 9 miles down the road. Although I would have loved to work more on the beach and lead that organization, just things didn't work out. I was toying around at that point with running for sheriff. You know, the Volusia County Sheriff's Office is a great organization. It's a large organization. They have a lot of potential, you know, to get even better. And that's what I want to do. I want to bring the experiences that I've had at Daytona to the sheriff's office to make it better, progressive, enhance all the technology that they have to make the citizens of Volusia County feel a lot safer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you go to a community and you don't feel safe, if you move to that community and don't feel safe, you're not going to stay. Volusia County is a great place. I lived here for 30 years, and I never wanted to move anyplace else. And that's what I want to do.
And see, I was going to ask you that because you get differences of opinion depending upon who you talk to, or when you ask about or talk about people feeling safe or safety. Do you, now you're law enforcement, you see this stuff, you deal with this stuff, do you feel that it's safe in Daytona Beach? I don't want to put you on the spot, I shouldn't do that.
No, you can do that.
And do you feel safe in Volusia County? And then what do you have to back that up with? Because there are people who say, oh yeah, oh we got low crime, we got this, that, and the other, but then you hear about a lot of crime that goes on, so.
There's very few statistical means to gauge crime in the area. In Daytona Beach, we use the CompStat model. So we're able to actually pinpoint how many crimes occur in specific areas. The one thing that really disturbed me about 8 or 9 months ago was I was driving down a street off of Smoky Farms Road, and there was a sign out in front of the house, and it said, "Beware, there's thieves in the area." That to me shouldn't be tolerated. I mean, people should not have to put a sign in their front yard. Now, there was nobody home at the time, and I haven't gone back to actually talk. I want to talk to the owner and find out what's going on. But that's the type of things that really hurt me as far as how people's perception of the area. I've grown up, you know, in New Jersey in the city, so me walking down through some of the streets in any area really doesn't bother me because that was the atmosphere that I grew up in. But as far as this area, there are a lot of places that, I mean, I would send my little girl to. I would send her friends there. There are other places that need work. You know, and that's true that's true of, you know, any place in America. Our goal is to take those places and make them better. Don't go backwards.
And how do we do that? How do we take those places and make them better? And I know in your running for sheriff that you have certain ideas, and as you have said, you'd like to take some of the things that you've used, that you guys have used, you guys, and for those who aren't familiar, that's Southern for you, all, you know. Anyway, and it's generic. Some of the things that you guys have done here locally, and you want to, in Daytona Beach, and you want to kind of spread around in the, or throughout the county. And there are some things that work and some things that don't work, really depending upon where you are. So
The biggest thing is to identify the crime, identify the trends. Like I said, we use a model called ComStat. And just to give everybody a little brief idea of what ComStat is all about, back when Giuliani was mayor of New York City, they were having a big issue with subway crime. Well, he went to Bill Bratton, who was the chief of police back then, and said, listen, you need to do something. Well, Bratton put together a program called ComStat. And basically what he did was he identified the small issues. The smallest issue that he could find in the subway were the turnstile jumpers. And if you've never been in New York City in the subway, they have turnstiles. Put the token in, and you go through and onto the subway. Well, what they were doing is the bad guys were jumping a turnstile. So that's what he addressed. And he saw a dramatic decrease in crime by taking care of that small little issue. Well, that's what we do at Daytona Beach. We identify every single Part 1 crime, which is major crime, apartment burglary, larceny, theft, auto theft, robbery. And we look at where these crimes occur, and then we have bi-weekly meetings. Well, actually, we have a meeting every week with the command staff and then with the community. And we take those issues and we bring it right up front, very transparent. You know, if there's 20 burglaries in your community, in your little neighborhood, we're going to address them. Who lives in that area? You know, are the people that just got released from prison? Are the people that are on probation and parole? Are the sexual offenders? Who's in that area that we can look at? Every house gets addressed as far as witness statements. You know, we go above and beyond the traditional law enforcement. We just don't take the report, you know, put it in a file cabinet someplace or on a computer nowadays, and just leave it. Everything is followed up. And it's aggressive. And that's what you have to be when you want to deter crime and you want to reduce crime. You have to be aggressive in the follow-up. And that's one of the things that we attribute a reduction in crime, that aggressive nature of going out and actually solving crimes.
And let me ask you, are people much more open in sharing their information? Because a lot of times, you know, I don't want to be the person, you know, that's considered as, you know, the one that's always just telling on people and all this kind of stuff. I don't want that reputation. And I don't want the bad guys coming on me, you know, coming down on me because I'm the one that, you know, gave the information. So, but do you find people are becoming much more forthcoming on sharing that kind of information? Because after all, it is a community, and it's the community. You guys can't do it by yourself. It really takes everybody working in the community to help in fighting crime.
It's a partnership, no doubt.
Absolutely.
We can't do it by ourselves, and it's amazing when you start talking to neighbors. You know, we keep everybody confidential. You know, we won't go to the bad guy and tell him where we got the information. But it's amazing how the neighbors won't come right out and tell you who the suspect is, but they'll tell you, you know, you might want to go check the kids at the Blue House down the street. You know, and those are the leads that we need. Not only that, but you know, when neighborhoods get together and they see that everybody has the same purpose in mind, they're more apt to join their forces and to start really giving us the information that we need to solve these crimes. And that's exactly what we need. Partnerships with the community, partnerships with businesses. The more information we can gather, the better we can do our job. And like I said, the success to the Daytona Beach Police Department crime reduction is just that, those partnerships. You know, going out to different functions, you know, football games and baseball games and different community events. When they see a real live police officer there, That's what builds the trust, and that's what we have to do to keep that trust going.
And I know that, because I'm a total believer in terms of that too, building those partnerships, because it's just like, there's a program they had where, in Hannah, it was supposed, where the postmen, postwomen who are delivering the mail, when they see something, they actually can report it to someone. When other types of people who may be coming into the area to do and they normally come so they can kind of recognize when something's kind of out of kilter, or if somebody's around and hanging around and they look a little suspicious, they can actually pass that information on too. So all of those are the types of partnerships that really should be in place. Would you explain to our listeners what really does community policing mean? Because it kind of sometimes means something different to different people.
Community policing was a buzzword that was put together 20 years ago. And basically, it was just a way to get the community into the mindset of, hey, we need to clean things up. Well, when it first started, community policing had different units. So in other words, you could get 4 or 5 officers, and they would do nothing but go out and build relationships with the community. And at that time, it was kind of like a hands-off approach to arrests or to to put people in jail.
Mm-hmm.
It was more of a warm and fuzzy type thing. Well, as it evolved, and after those partnerships came in, that's when law enforcement kind of brought it department-wide. So it wasn't just a unit. You have to have that philosophy throughout the entire department.
Mm-hmm.
So I could be warm and fuzzy to someone one minute, but if you break the law and you break into somebody's house, guess what? That warm and fuzzy feeling is going to go away real quick. And that's what community policing is all about.
Right.
It's that building that partnership.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stress it more and more.
I totally support that as well. So it's like the good guy, bad guy.
Exactly.
And the same guy, again, non-generic.
That's why we use staffing instead of
Yeah,
policemen.
yeah.
It's all staffing issues.
Now let me ask you, because I have gone to a couple of ComStat meetings, and you guys, I mean, you really get down directly down to, and then all of a sudden people are calling out names of individuals and this, that, and the other, and you wonder about, in terms of confidentiality of, is there a certain point where you don't tell everything about what's going to happen so that nobody, lets the cat out of the bag?
Yeah, there's certain, if it's an ongoing investigation, we'll keep it quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if it's a juvenile that's been a victim or a sexual assault victim, we'll get that information.
Mm-hmm.
But it's amazing how much, you pop a picture of a suspect up on the board, and all of a sudden somebody in the audience is saying, wait a second, I know that person. And that's how we get that information.
Yeah, I just saw him down at such and such.
You're right. We did a study, actually, it's an organization called PERF, Police Executive Research Forum. They did a study on the ComStat process throughout the state of Florida, actually throughout the country. They used us, and they used Tampa, Hillsborough County, as a couple of test places.
Mm-hmm.
But when they came to our ComStat, they actually looked at it and they said, something, we could really take this and we could expand it. And that's one of the things that I want to do as sheriff, take that
Mm-hmm.
ComStat process and make it a regional, not just local. Because if we take the issues in the rural areas, let's just say Pearson, Deltona, DeLand, Daytona, Norman, and we kind of share that information crime-wise, our bad guys are the same ones that are breaking into places in Norman, and Hollywood, or so we're here for the same purpose. We're not here just to move one body from one city to the other. We're here to make everything safe, make each city safer.
And that is awesome. Now, the broken windows theory of concept. Do you guys, because there was a time when that had been talked about by a prior chief, and then it kind of fell away, and do you guys kind of identify with that concept or theory or whatever in terms of how you view working in the neighborhoods?
Yeah, and what we did 4 years ago, we took over code enforcement. We kind of used that same philosophy.